it's Graham Healy here. I just got to go live with this one. You know, I've never seen so many humorous statements regarding Turnbull and what have you. Yeah, look, Trump is bringing all the globalists out. It's almost like he's performing some sort of globalist exorcism, where they all come out and confess. Actually, Turnbull, you know, I'm no fan of, never have been a fan of Turnbull's actually, but what Trump said about Turnbull's absolutely correct. He's weak and insipid, but he's a very devious, and has been a very devious globalist, like Albo and the rest of them. You know, Trump just nails it. I love Donald Trump, and I know he's got the art of the deal, and you know, I mean, all the commentary that's going on the press at the moment is just laughable. Trump, yeah, all I can say is this: keep up the good work, President Trump, and the likes of Turnbull. You know, well, in Turnbull's own words, get this, he said to the press in one of the interviews, well, Trump's against globalisation. Trump's against globalisation? Most of Australia's against globalisation, you idiot. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and Trump is actually turning the global situation upside down for the betterment of not only Australia but all the Western nations, and I can see that clear as a bell. The other thing is, you know, sometimes this is a little bit of a touchy subject, but I'll put Robert Kennedy Jr.'s summary of Ukraine and the full history. See, before you write on the Facebook, oh, I stand with Ukraine, and look, you know, there's a certain validity in that, but you've got to look at the whole history regarding the NATO creeping in through the borders and the Americans. Not that I'm pro-USA, but through various presidents. I wasn't pro-Biden and all these, you know, Democrats. But you've got to look at all the contracts that were broken, the peace agreements that were broken, and Zelensky is being used to his own benefit, to a great deal, by these third-party warmongers. And you notice, I'll just leave it on this, I won't take long with this. Do you notice that all the woke people, the lefties, are the first ones that want to start wars? You notice that? Globalism, once they start losing control, they want to create another war. Now, I've recently just written on my Facebook, I stand with Donald Trump. I stand for peace, not war. So it's pretty simple, really. People who are, yes, people can stand with Ukraine and all the rest of it, but you've got to look at the history with NATO, United Nations, and all the peace agreements, 2 or 3 of them that were broken with Russia, leading up to the situation now, which is a money laundering exercise by the Democrats, actually, mainly Joe Biden and his drug pushing son, with you know, all the stuff that goes over there. So Trump's levelling the playing field worldwide, and yeah, there's going to be a bit of shake, rattle and roll, but at the end of it, just like Trump said, at the end of it, there'll be a golden era in the USA, and when we get rid of these lefties in control of Australia, including the lefties in the Liberal Party, I think we will align ourselves with the Donald Trump policies now. You know, just look at some of the independent senators. That's all I can say. Jared Rennick's, you know, he's got solutions to problems, right? None of these other characters got solutions to problems. They create the problems, right? You've got Senator Rennick. Sorry, I said Senator Rennick. Senator Malcolm Roberts. You've got Lyle Sheldon and Family First. You've got now the new Senate candidate, Dr. William Bay. So just have a look at the lead Senate candidates, especially for Queensland and Trumpeter Patriots, I think, I've just said to them online that, they should start loading up their policies on their website, because, they'll cause a positive move in the independent direction as well. And so what we've got to do is this is a summary, and I'll finish off with this. In the forthcoming election, federal election, Albo will start handing out money now. So that's great, you can hand out, but mind you, it's all borrowed money. So in other words, it comes at great expense to the Australian people, right? So when you get to the election, this is my advice as a former lead Senate candidate for Queensland. Number one, you vote for those independents. Now, we need independents in the Senate. Dutton couldn't lead a horse to water, so it's going to be a hung parliament. You can see that standing off a mile. Dutton's no leader, and Albo's worse, but Dutton's not much better, unfortunately. He agrees with the climate accord and all the things the globalists agree with, and Dutton's agreeing with. Just fairly. Should go back to the police force in Queensland. So this is my advice, and it's pretty common sense, really. Number one, have a look at your Senate candidates above the line. Below the line is not going to make any difference at all. Above the line, they've got to belong to a party. Now, we've got Dr. William Bay, who's now a Senate candidate for I think it's not Australia First, but the Australian Party. Or have a look online, he's got that there. We've got Senator Rennick, we've got Senator Roberts, we've got Lyle Sheldon's representative for Family First, and those sort of people is what you want. You want an independent, for want of a better term, an independent cartel in the Senate who have all got very similar policies. They've got their strengths and weaknesses. And you want those sort of people voting on key issues in this country, all right? So, and the last but not least, the most important, you put the Liberals, the Labor and the Greens very last on the Senate ticket. In other words, if it goes 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're putting those senators that I've suggested, Senator Roberts, Senator Rennick, Dr. William Bay, Lyle Sheldon's representative. She's very good. I can't remember her name just off the top of my head, but the Family First. Those sort of people who can think for Christian values, who can think for themselves actually, and are independent of the system. Then, as it goes down the track, you put Liberals, Labor and Greens very last. So they'll be 7, 8 and 9, or 9, 8, 9 and 10. Don't, if you like, say, Senator Rennick, go 1, and I like the Liberals, you put that 2. So if Rennick doesn't get in, the preferences go to Liberals. So don't do that. You want independent people who've stood up over the last 4 years. See, I was having a conversation with Dr. Bay the other day, and this is what I say. This is the qualification for the Senate this election, I believe, should be this. What were they doing over the last 4 years to represent Australia during all the turmoil of the COVID and the misinformation and all that, the lockdowns and all this sort of stuff? What were the Senate candidates who are currently running for the Senate, what were they doing now during that time? You can tick the box for Senator Rennick. You can tick the box for Senator Malcolm Roberts. You can tick the box for Dr. William Bay, who had a very big win against APRA in the Supreme Court in Queensland. Tick the box there. Senator Babette down in Melbourne. You can tick the box for him. He's standing anti-globalist, pro-Australia. And so, that's how you look at it, and you say, okay, who did what over the last 4 years? My issue, and I was talking to a good friend of mine who is a founder of the Farmers Association in Adelaide, Peter Manuel, and we were just talking about this because we've been involved in supporting various parties over the years. And as we said, well, number one, we've got one rule that we always use is by their fruit you will know them. So I don't care what political party they belong to, but by their fruit. By what they do and how they do it, you will know what sort of characters they are. And secondly, we came to the conclusion, myself and Peter Manuel, we came to that conclusion that, we're patriots, right? we believe will make Australia great again. As a matter of fact, here, hold it for a second. There we go. I've got my Make Australia Great Again and the Australian flag on the left-hand side. So there we go. We'll broadcast with this. So the thing is, at the end of the day, so as I said there when I was talking to my friend Peter Manuel, you know, have a look at the fruit. But the main thing is, what have they been doing? The Senate candidates that are running now, have a look at them. See, okay, where were you during the middle of COVID? Where were you during the lockdowns? Were you standing up against you know, what the government did, really, which was unconstitutional in every way, shape and form you can think of? And, you know, when people come out and say to me, oh, well, you know, regarding the injections, you know, I've got a med science degree, so I understand fairly well what went on there. And people say, well, you know, you've got your own choice whether to have the injection or not have the injection. For goodness sake, no one had any scientific evidence to back up anything. The government gaslit you all the way through. You notice that they haven't got any substantial scientific evidence to back up anything regarding the injections. They just rolled it out and you were the experiment. Now that, unfortunately, I have to agree with Dr. Bay, that's Nuremberg too. So that issue has to be handled by a massive royal commission. And I won't go into that, but, you know, it's pretty straightforward. So, okay, let's make Australia great again. And the only way we can do that, we've got to get rid of Albo, the Greens, and, look, Dutton's not going to hack it either. So there has to be a new leader in the Liberal Party. I mean, the Liberal Party's more woke these days than they are conservative. So they've lost the plot as well. So our only hope at the moment is to get independent senators into the Senate, and that's coming up in May. So, you know, just enjoy the ride with Albo. In the meantime, he'll be throwing out all sorts of candy, you know, you know, from Centrelink and everything. That's great, you know, that's okay, we'll take that. But knowing full well that that's on the tab, it's not out of his pocket, it's on the national credit card. And if anyone knows how to get Australia back on track financially, I'd have to say my tick in the box there. Not that I'm preferencing Senator Rennick over anyone, but financially he's a whiz kid regarding. He will get Australia back on track with the finances. Senator Roberts certainly got his. See, I look at it this way. I look at the giftings of each independent senator and say, okay, what will these senators contribute with their giftings? Rennick's definitely finances. No question in my mind whatsoever. Have a look at his website. The complete plan is set and ready to go. Senator Roberts is he's more of a what I call anti-globalist, get Australia sovereigntised. He would work in very well with Senator Rennick, and of course Dr. Bay. He's like, as he defined in his own self, he wants to be, and I'm pretty certain he's pretty close to Robert Kennedy Jr. number 2. So he wants to be Australia's Robert Kennedy Jr. and he's got all the qualifications to be Australia's Robert Kennedy Jr. And I think that's great. So we've got some key players. Senator Babet, I'll give him 10 out of 10 too down in Melbourne. He's kicking butt, and he's certainly a patriot. So what we need is the patriots making Australia great again, rising up, joining together. And in Australia, we haven't got like the presidential setup they've got in the US. We'll have to do that through the Senate. Now, you know, this election's going to be interesting. I predict maybe there may be a double dissolution after the election, something like that. But anyway, we've got to get the right people into the Senate to basically have a block of common sense people that are going to turn the economy of Australia around again. And, you know, all kudos also to Clive Palmer with, you know, the Trumpeter Patriots Party. A lot of people don't like Clive. I don't know why, because he's done a lot of good things in this country. He's spent a lot of money helping people out during the COVID era, including the ambulance officers and police officers. He won the cases in the Supreme Court for them. He brought millions of doses of hydroxychloroquine at his own expense to Australia. He's done the right thing. I also give Clive Palmer a tick in the box as well. Though this time he'll be just like the executive director of Trumpeter Patriots, but that's okay. They got a good female leader and all that, so we all can work together to make this country great again. And what I do like is Senator Roberts at the moment is talking about the iron boomerang railway line from one end of Australia to the other. You know, we add, on my website, riseupaustraliabrisbane.com, you can see all these policies. We had them in 2019, they're all there. You know, it's like Groundhog Day for me, the same thing. But to get this country operating, we have to do a couple of things. Rennick's got the solution regarding that specifically, and that is we create our own bank, we can print our own money. We've got enough gold in this country to have more than Fort Knox, basically. We can do that. We can set up infrastructure, create jobs in this country, not create a whole lot of false flags regarding the economy. Create a cash flow positive economy. That's exactly what Trump's doing. You notice all the industry is starting to rebuild in Detroit and all those places where it's all about jobs for people. That's what we need. We need our manufacturing expanding again. We need, the globalism just breaks down the economy and we become like a third world country. The reverse of that is getting Australia like it was cash flow positive about 25 years ago. And as Senator Rennick rightly says, you know, 25, 30 years ago, I remember buying my house for about 35 grand. Would you believe that was in Townsville? And my other son's still in Townsville, my other son's here with me. But now, the price of houses basically runs off the annual income. Now, the annual income to buy a house now, well over $1 million here in Brisbane. Any decent place is over $1 million. Now, that is about 14 times the annual income. So it's gone from 4 times to 14 times. So that's where your inflation's gone. It's gone into house prices, the big house bubble. So, who's buying those houses now? It certainly isn't the average working family, that's for certain. They couldn't afford it. There's one other issue that comes to mind, talking to my mate Peter Manuel again, is, the selling off of Australia's farmland with shareholdings to China and such third world, well, not so much third world China now, but, Communist Party controlled countries, so shouldn't have anything to do with our farmland in this country. And the other thing that I might do an interview again with Peter Manuel regarding water rights in this country. Turnbull, the turncoat, he put the water rights of farmers onto the stock market, so they don't own their own water. There's a whole gambit of issues there that my friend Peter Manuel knows. That story back to front and upside down. Actually, as I'm thinking about this video, I think I'll do an interview with Peter on that particular issue. So we might have a bit of a, as two patriots, we might have a bit of a heart-to-heart chat. We'll do it on Zoom and I'll post it on Facebook. Okay, that's Graham Healy over and out. Went a bit longer than I thought, but have a great day. And also, a shout out to my friend Pat Massetti. You should run for Parliament. Pat comes on. I don't listen to the news. I just listen to Pat Massetti. So, good on you, mate. You're a real patriot, and we love you, mate. So, okay, Graham Healy over and out. Make Australia great again. And the other thing before I go, thorium. Now, on my website, riseupaustraliabrisbane.com, I spoke about thorium back in 2019. Thorium is sort of like a low-grade uranium, but Australia's absolutely full of it. It's like dirt in Australia. The Chinese are now building thorium reactors, and thorium's got, a very small half-life, so it doesn't contaminate as much as uranium does. So it is, I believe, back then, 2019, that thorium would be the solution. And a mate of mine who's an engineer, he's an entrepreneurial engineer in Dubai, has been pushing the thorium scenario solution for, power in Australia and everything for the last 20 years. So the thorium story is another good one where we could, I've got nothing against coal-fired power stations, but we could do these thorium reactors, which are a hell of a lot safer than a normal nuclear reactor, and you'd get all the anti-nuclear people on board with a less reactive isotope, which is quite safe actually at the end of the day. So that's another one. Think about thorium. It's making the news a little bit. I see it's come to thorium. Had it on my website for the last 10 years or something. So things are happening. Things are rolling forward. The bottom line is this: we must get Australia cash flow positive. Cash flow positive. When we get a cash flow positive, which we can do in 5 years, big infrastructure programs, the Bradford irrigation scheme and all this sort of stuff, jobs for everyone, create the Bradford irrigation scheme, and we can turn the whole central part of Australia into a breadbasket supplying Southeast Asia with all sorts of fruit and vegetables and wheat and all the rest of it. So there's a lot of good things that can happen to Australia in the right hands. In the hands of the globalists like Albo and Turnbull and all these other idiots, they are about what I call the global communism. So they want to get everyone down to the common denominator. And one other thing that Senator Rennick said, I ran a meeting with Senator Rennick fairly recently, and one other thing he said, which is so true, and I mean, Senator Roberts has said this as well: you want to control a nation, put them into debt. Now, last time I looked at the overall debt for Australia, you look at AustraliaDebt.com, the debt clock. It's about 9 trillion if they had all the debt up. So we're not cash flow positive. This is not the way to go in any business or any country or anything like that. And we don't want to be associated with the globalists whose plan is to put you in debt so that they go up and all the rest of us go down. So just one biblical term before I finish off, the lender is a slave. The borrower is a slave to the lender. It says in the book of Proverbs, look it up. The borrower is a slave to the lender. Now, we don't want to be a debt slave. So we are debt slaves at the moment. The whole country's in debt. Doesn't have to be. We're the most wealthiest country in the world just about, for resources and all that. So Senator Rennick's correct on this issue, that he's correct on a lot of things, by the way. So same as Senator Roberts and Babette and all the rest of my name. They've all got their points, got their strengths. So if you want to control a country, as Senator Roberts and Rennick have said to me, you want to control a country, put them into debt. That's the way to control them. Now, you think about that. We can reverse that if we get the right combination of senators in power. So that's where it's heading. And God bless Australia, make Australia great again, and God bless Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Love his work. I love it. The real rocket man. So, what a successful businessman, and flushing out all the waste and the corruption in the government. I love it. And those people who are screaming loudest are the corrupt ones. That's as simple as that. It's not the average citizen who's been done over for 20, 30, 40 years. It's the globalists who want you as a debt slave. We're not going to allow them to do it, are we? Okay, Graham Healy over and out. Have a look at my website, riseup.australiabrisbane.com. A lot of information on that. And have a great day. Okay, see you later.